y'all. So today we are going to be starting out with the Elcie Pearl Radiance primer, and I'm just going to take 2 pumps of that and then wipe it all over my face. And I'm making the most attractive face ever, as you can see. Next we are going to go in with the MAC, what are these called? The MAC Lustre Drops in the shade Pink Rebel, and we're going to be mixing that with the Josie Maran Vibrancy Foundation, and I'm just making a little cocktail in the back of my hand. And when I do mix the luster drops in with my foundations, I just apply the foundation onto my face with my finger. I don't use a brush just because I want to make sure that I get everything mixed in and I get all of that foundation off my hand. I'm going to be blending that out with my Morphe damp beauty sponge, and don't mind my sponge, it's not powder that's all over it. I washed my sponge with Dawn dish soap a couple of weeks ago and it completely took like almost all of the red out of the sponge. So now I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I am in the shade Light, and I'm just applying that underneath my eyes, my forehead, my nose, my cupid's bow, my chin, and I will do a little stripe underneath where I would normally do my contour. And then again, using the same Morphe Damp Beauty Sponge, I'm just blending all of that out. I really, really need to order me a couple of new Morphe sponges because when I wash these ones out with that soap, it kind of like, I don't know, it just turns orange and everything's a big, huge mess. But anyways, I am now using the RCMA No Color setting powder with the same Morphe sponge, and I'm just setting my under eye and my chin with that powder. My chin, I get really oily, so that's why I put the powder there. And then I'm going to be using my Marc Jacobs Omega Bronzer with my Morphe M523 to apply that, and I'm just taking that from the tip of my ear, the top of my ear, down towards the corner of my mouth. And I'm not trying to do a real structured sculpted contour today. That's why you'll see me just kind of going in circular motions and really just trying to bronze up the face. I'm not going to go in and shape it up or anything with setting powder. I'm just bronzing the forehead, my cheekbones, and a little bit on the side of my nose, which was not pictured because it was super quick. Now I'm going in with a flat top brush, and I'm just brushing away that translucent powder. And then I'm going in with the Morphe 9B palette, I believe this is. No, the 9N, I'm sorry. And I'm using that top left shade and the last shade in the middle row. Yeah, the last shade in the middle row. And I'm mixing those two. And at first, I'm going to go in very, very softly because these are super duper pigmented. And then once there's barely any product left on the brush is when I'm going to go in circular motions and blend that out. And I do take that all the way towards my temple. Now I'm going in with a MAC beauty powder, and let's see what shade this is in. This is just a really light luminescent powder. It doesn't give you an actual color to the cheeks. It's just more of like an iridescent sheen. I'm not sure what shade this is in. I'll link it down below for you. But I'm just taking that and putting it on top of my blush. For highlight, I'm going in with the Mary Luminizer highlighter this is by The Balm Cosmetics, and I'm just putting that on the high points of my cheeks, and I'm going in circular motions just so that I can get the most pigmentation on the center part of my cheeks. And I just gave you a little show of what my highlight looks like. Not necessary. And then same thing on the other cheek. I'm doing this very lightly, but this shade is a very beautiful kind of light vanilla shade. So if you want to apply this all over your face like I'm doing now, you can. If you just want to put it on your cheekbones and your nose, you can. But this stuff is so light and so subtle. It's kind of just like a, I don't know, kind of like a glow from within. Very very luminous, very dewy looking. It's not so much sheen, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, this is a great highlighter to use. For eyeshadow today, we're going to be using the Juvia's Place Nubian palette, and I am going in with that second brown shade. It's kind of just like a really light, warm brown shade. It's almost an orangey shade, but it is brown. I used it as my transition today because of how light it is. And I went in with a Morphe M533 brush, and this is a huge, fat, super fluffy, soft blending brush. You can be as messy with this transition shade as you want. Because of how fluffy this brush is, you will not make a mess. It will not look like you have a black eye. It will not look like a huge splatter of eyeshadow on your face. This brush is amazing for applying your transition shade. And I pretty much use it for everything. I'll even, if I'm just trying to do like a sloppy, quick, on the go makeup job, I will use this brush and I will use it for all the colors that I go in with, just because that's how blendable and all around beautiful this brush is. I'm telling you, you have to have it. Then I will go in with the the M441 brush. And I'm going in with that third darker brown shade, and I'm just putting that specifically on the outer portion of my eye. I'm not taking that into the crease. I'm not taking that on the inner part of my lid. I'm strictly keeping it on the outer portion of my lid. And when I don't have any more product on the brush, you'll see me kind of sweep it into the crease just to make sure that everything's blended together nicely. But I will keep it just on that outer portion. And then next, I'm going to dip into that bottom row, and I'm taking that warmish chocolatey brown shade, and I'm taking that on a Morphe M506, and I am tapping that very, very lightly on the lower outer portion of my lid. And you will see that I am blending that slightly into the center of the lower part of the lid, just to kind of give it that angular smoked out effect. It does add a lot of dimension to your eyeshadow looks when you do take a darker color and you add it to the very lower part of your lid right there on the outer corner, just because a lot of times, you know, when people do smoky eyes, they tend to keep the darker colors on the outer corner, but when you kind of angle it in, go from the outer portion and then go a little bit lower and kind of sweep it above your lash line, it gives that extra dimension to it. Kind of like an eyeliner, but not an eyeliner, if that makes any sense. You'll just have to try it. It's an absolutely beautiful technique that I've learned, and I love to use it. I actually did one with a purple last week, and it turned out amazing. So yeah, you'll have to try that. And this does take a long time of blending. You have to make sure that everything is blended beautifully because we are using very, very dark browns in this. So you don't want to look too muddy. Then I'm going to go in with that last shade of the Nubian palette, and this is a very, very warm dark brown. This is the darkest brown in the palette, and I was noticing some fallout, so I took a little bit of that RCMA powder on my sponge, my damp sponge, and I put that below my eye just to catch any fallout that I had, and then once I was finished, I could sweep it away. Again, I am putting this on the very lower part of my lid, on the outer portion. I scooted closer so that you guys could see my brush movements. This camera does not have autofocus, so it is very blurry for the closer parts of this video, but I wanted you guys to see the motions that I was using my brush in, and this is the same M506. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking that pigment and I'm just tapping it on, and then once there's not that much product left on the brush, I will go in very, very tiny circular motions to blend it out, and I am not taking that any higher than my crease. I am specifically keeping it on that outer corner. Reason is because I have so many browns on my eye already, and I want the most dimension and the most definition to be on that outer corner. You really want to smoke this out, and that's why I went back in with my M533 brush, just to kind of go over everything and blend everything out, make sure it was nice and smoky. And now I'm going in with that top right corner shade, and this is a very frosty, almost kind of like a peachy pink shade. It's not too frosty, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of in the middle. It's a sheen, but it's a frost as well. It's not super blinding, but it's beautiful. And I'm just taking a small flat definer e.l.f. brush to apply this, and I'm just putting this all over, not all over the lid. You don't want to take this all the way to the outer corner, but I am starting all the way from the inner corner, and I'm sweeping over all the way to the center of my lid. I wanted to just put a little bit of shimmer in there. I originally wanted just a matte smoky eye, but I felt like it kind of needed a little bit of something, so this is what I used. And I am now just putting this in fast motion for you because I did the same exact thing on the other eye. I just went from inner corner, swooped it down to the center of the lid, and next I went in with this kind of pinky, peachy, iridescent shade, and I'm just putting that in between that frosty shade that we used and the dark brown. And I'm also applying this in a diagonal motion as well. I felt like those two colors, the brown and the really frosty light shade, just didn't really mesh well together, side by side that is. So I took a little bit of a shade that was kind of like right in the middle and blended those two together, and it meshed them together perfectly. During all that blending, I felt like I had lost a lot of the dimension from the brown, the dark brown that we put right there, so I'm just adding a little bit more. Now, this is the fun part. Excuse me. I am taking the NYX Black eye kohl, and I am sloppily applying this to my lash line. I'm not doing it in any specific way. I'm not doing it neatly. I'm not trying to get it in a straight line. I am specifically just trying to smudge this along my lash line as close as possible. And what I am going to do is I'm going to go in with a flat definer brush once I'm finished applying this, just like so. It was very blurry, so you probably can't see what it looks like, but it's just a small flat tip brush, and I am just going to start swiping upward from the base of my lash line up. And what this is going to do is it's going to help to smudge that eyeliner out to make it look like kind of like an illusion of a dark shadow right there at the base, except using an eyeshadow. I'm sorry, I am feeling a little bit under the weather today, and I'm not too sure why. But anyway, this is going to give the illusion of an eyeshadow, but it's better to use an eyeliner as the base because it stays a lot longer. And then you will see me in just a couple of seconds. I'll go in with a shadow over that. And again, I'm just taking it from the base of the lash line and I'm swiping it up. And when I get towards the inner corner of the eye, I will start to I will start to swipe kind of in a diagonal direction just to make sure that it doesn't look too blotchy in the inner corner. It won't really matter on the outer corner because you have those darker colors already, but when you get to the inner corner where it's a little bit more nude, you don't want that to be too smoky right there. So I will change the direction of my swiping when I get to the inner corner. Oh, that's a mouthful. And this is where I go in with that darkest brown that we used in the outer corner originally. And I am taking that on a much wider defining brush. And this is the Morphe M432. And I am taking that shadow and I'm putting it all over where we put that eyeliner. But again, on the outer corner, we're making it a little bit more intense and swooping it a little bit higher than we do on the inner corner just to keep that definition in there. And setting an eyeliner with a shadow always is a good thing. It always helps the eyeliner to stay all day, really sets it in place. And again, putting this dark brown over that black, it kind of gives it, you know, a brown black effect rather than just a stark black when you have an all matte brown eye. So for the inner waterline on the lower lash line, I am using the MAC White Fascinating Eye Kohl. And I use this color instead of a black just to kind of open up the eyes since this is a wedding day look. I don't want it to look too closed in or too smoky or too dark. You really want to look romantic and you want to look open and you want to have that wide-eyed, doe-eyed effect. So I use that, and then I'm going to take on that same long definer brush, the M432, and I'm taking that medium brown, and I'm not going all the way to the inner corner. I'm just going to the center. And then I will take that M506 and I will blend that out with that very light brown that we used as our transition shade. And again, I'm not going all the way into the inner corner. We don't want to make this too closed. So now I'm going in with an Urban Decay shadow, and this is one of their Moondust shadows. And this is in the shade, why do I want to call it Diamond Dog? It's called Space Cowboy. And I am taking this on a flat e.l.f. brush, the same brush that we used to apply that light shimmer color, and I'm just dabbing that right over, and this is just going to give a little bit more of a shimmer. It's got a little bit of sparkle in it, very, very subtle, but beautiful. And then I'm brushing away that clear, oh my gosh, I'm saying all the wrong words today, that translucent setting powder. And then underneath my brow bone, I'm just going back in with the Balm highlighter that we used on our cheekbones, and I'm just highlighting that brow bone. I don't want a very stark highlight right there, again, because this is a wedding look, so I want to be a little bit more subtle. So I'm just using one of my more natural highlights for the brow bone. And then I'm going in with Better Than Sex Too Faced mascara, and I'm just coating my lashes before I put on my falsies. This one is a little bit intense, and it was a little intimidating, but I got used to it very quickly. And I am doing my lower lashes off of camera. And then I'm going to go in with the lipstick by MAC, and this is in the shade Fabby, I believe. And this is like a very light baby pink kind of frosty iridescent shade. It's very, very pretty. Very, very subtle, very girly, super pretty. And then I'm going to go in with my Marc Jacobs lip gloss in the shade Moon Glow, which is also a very nude baby pink color. Very, very sheer, very glossy. I'm just putting that over top of that, and then I will go in with my lashes. And today I am using the style Intoxicating, which are my absolute favorite lashes, and these are by Flutter Lashes. I use them for almost every single look that I wear. No, seriously, every single look that I wear. And I just apply them from the outer corner first, and then I attach that inner corner. And then same thing to the other eye. I'll just lay it on top, apply the outer corner, and then seal the inner corner. And that is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And congratulations to all you brides-to-be. I hope you have the most amazing wedding day. Alright guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.